Good morning, and welcome to today's news discussion. I'm Dana, and I'm here with Matt. We've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. Israel and Lebanon have agreed to extend their ceasefire by 45 days, according to the U.S. State Department. This comes after another round of talks in Washington. The original ceasefire was declared by U.S. President Donald Trump on April 16th.
That's interesting. So, what's the significance of this extension? Is it a sign of progress in the negotiations between Israel and Lebanon?
The State Department said the extension is to enable further progress. The exact details of what's being negotiated aren't clear, but it's likely related to the ongoing disputes between the two countries, particularly regarding maritime boundaries and gas reserves.
I see. So, the ceasefire is connected to these broader issues. How does this development affect the regional dynamics? Are there any other countries involved in these negotiations?
The reporting suggests that the U.S. is playing a key role in facilitating these talks. The fact that they were held in Washington indicates a level of U.S. involvement. Other regional players might be watching this closely, given the strategic importance of the region.
That makes sense. The U.S. has been actively involved in Middle East peace negotiations. What's the current status of the ceasefire? Has there been any significant violation or incident since it was first declared?
According to the available information, the ceasefire has held so far. The extension suggests that both parties are committed to maintaining the peace, at least for now.
That's a positive development. Switching gears, what's the latest on the U.S. political front? I heard something about Rep. Steve Cohen.
Yes, Democratic Rep. Steve Cohen of Tennessee has announced that he's ending his bid for re-election. This decision comes after the redistricting of his Memphis district, which has significantly altered the political landscape.
So the redistricting has had a major impact on his campaign. How does this reflect the broader trends in U.S. politics, especially with regard to gerrymandering and electoral map changes?
Cohen's situation is just one example of how redistricting can upend political careers. The Supreme Court's recent decision has led to a wave of redistricting across the country, affecting many lawmakers' prospects for re-election.
That's a significant point. The redistricting battles are not just about changing district boundaries, they have real consequences for politicians and potentially for the balance of power in Congress.
Exactly. And it's not just about the politicians. It affects the representation of various communities. The new district boundaries can either consolidate or dilute certain voter groups' influence.
This is a critical issue. On a more somber note, what's the latest on the conflict in Ukraine?
The death toll from a Russian missile attack on a Kyiv apartment building has risen to 24, including 3 children. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made this announcement on Friday.
That's devastating. What do we know about the attack? Was it part of a larger barrage by Russian forces?
According to the Ukrainian Air Force, the missile strike was part of Russia's biggest barrage on Ukraine since the full-scale invasion began. The attack targeted a 9-story apartment block, causing significant damage and loss of life.
The humanitarian impact of this conflict continues to be severe. Are there any indications of how the international community is responding to this latest escalation?
The reporting doesn't go into detail about specific international responses, but it's likely that there will be condemnation from various countries and international organizations.
Moving on to another significant story, what's the latest on Harvey Weinstein's rape retrial?
The retrial ended in a mistrial after the jury deadlocked. This is a closely watched case, given its connection to the Me Too movement and the previous convictions against Weinstein.
A mistrial is a significant development. What happens next in this case? Is there a possibility of a retrial?
The prosecution will likely decide whether to retry the case. The fact that the jury deadlocked suggests that the evidence presented was not conclusive enough to secure a unanimous verdict.
This case has been highly publicized, and the outcome would be closely watched. Switching to another story, I heard that Russia and Ukraine have exchanged prisoners of war.
That's correct. Russia and Ukraine swapped 205 prisoners of war each on Friday. This exchange was facilitated after U.S. President Donald Trump announced that a large swap would take place.
Prisoner exchanges can be a positive step in conflicts. What does this say about the current state of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine? Is this part of a broader effort to reduce tensions?
The prisoner swap indicates some level of communication and negotiation between the two sides, but it's unclear if this is part of a larger trend.
It's a complex situation. The fact that they're able to negotiate prisoner exchanges suggests that there are still channels of communication open, despite the ongoing conflict.
That's a good point. As we wrap up today's discussion, it's clear that there are many complex and interconnected stories unfolding globally. From ceasefires in the Middle East to conflicts in Ukraine and significant legal cases in the U.S., there's a lot to keep track of.
Indeed. And it's not just about the individual stories. It's about how they fit into the broader global landscape. Thanks for walking us through these important news stories, Dana.
Thank you, Matt. It's been a pleasure discussing these critical issues with you.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with more news discussions soon.
Goodbye and stay informed.